Hello and welcome back to DHK. I'm sure most of you have heard of the quote, "Well begun is half done." Before you start with today's lesson, I strongly recommend that you revise everything we have covered till date. As I have said before, to excel in a language, being able to read it very intuitively is very helpful. It is in fact the best way to start learning any new language and actually does half the task. We have already done the alphabet and the numbers. I hope you're really perfect with those two lessons, especially the alphabet. Today, we are going to do basic vocabulary. We shall start with the personal pronouns. I hope you are familiar with the first, second and third person forms in English. But for those of you who are not, let me tell you what it is. When you refer to yourself, you say I, that is the first person singular form. When you are part of a group and you are referring to your own group, you use the first person plural form we. When you are referring to the same person that you're talking to, you use the second person singular form you. In English, the second person form is same for singular and plural pronouns. So if you're talking to a group of people, you still refer to them as you. If A is talking to B about C takes the third person form of he, she, or it in case of singular, or they in case of plural. Similarly, in German, we have ich as the first person singular, meaning I. Du as the second person singular, meaning you. Es, sie as the third person singular forms, meaning he, it, and she respectively. Wir as the first person plural, meaning we. Ihr as the second person plural, meaning you or you all, when referring to more than one people. Sie as the third person plural, meaning they. And again, sie with a capital S is actually while referring to a singular second person, but it takes the third person plural form in German. The difference between du and capital Z is that du is used in informal conversations such as with friends, close family, or the people you know really well or are on a first name basis with. The capital Z, on the other hand, is a respectful you, used while talking to people you don't really know, people whom you don't refer to by their first name, or elders. So if it's a friend you are talking to, you can use du. But if it's an elder woman called Mrs. Heisenberg you just met at the supermarket, or the president of your country, you refer to them as Z and never as du. If you're not sure about how to address someone, Z is the safest form to use, since du may be considered as extremely rude when used with the inappropriate people. Note that only the S in this Z is capital, but I'm going to refer to this word as capital Z to make life easy. Learn these personal pronouns perfectly well. We are going to use them a lot in our next lesson. Well, actually, you're going to use them in almost every sentence you'll ever make in German, so technically you have to know them really well. Just like we have WH questions in English, in German we call them the W-Fragen. Fragen literally means questions. Here we have 10 words that you need to remember perfectly well. Was, meaning what. Wie, meaning how. Wer, meaning who. Wo, meaning where. Welcher, meaning which. Warum, meaning why. Wann, meaning when. Woher, meaning from where. Wohin, meaning to where. Worüber, means about what. Make sure you don't get confused between where and wo, because where sounds like the English where, but it means who, and wo sounds like the English who, but it means where. The last three words are sort of different forms of wo and was, so only the first 7 are actually unique, and you have to remember them the way they are. So that was about the Wayfragen. Coming to the nouns, you only need to know 2 things about them. First, all the nouns in German start with a capital letter. Unlike English, in German not just proper nouns but even common nouns start with a capital letter. Second, nouns can have one of the following genders: masculine, feminine, and neutral. Whenever we come across a new noun, I will add the gender of that noun in square brackets as shown on the screen. Fußball is masculine, banana is feminine, and beer is neutral. The keyword for this lesson is banana, German for banana. To know more about keywords, watch our introductory video. That's all the general information you need to know about nouns for now. Now coming to the articles. Unlike English, where the definite article is always the, and the indefinite article is a or an, depending on whether or not the following word starts with a vowel. In German, articles are different for different types of nouns and are independent of anything else. The definite article for a masculine noun is der. That for a feminine noun is die. And that for a neutral noun is das. The indefinite article for masculine nouns is ein. For feminine nouns, it is eine. And for neutral nouns, it is again ein. This means that if you see a new word, for example, der Fußball, it is obvious that Fußball is masculine, and I may not write M in square brackets ahead of it. Same goes for words like die Banane and das Bier, since the articles make it very obvious that they are feminine and neutral. However, while making use of indefinite articles, only feminine nouns are obvious because of the eine with an a or e at the end. In case of masculine and neutral nouns, I will definitely let you know the gender of the noun, since ein will on its own not tell us whether the noun is a masculine or a neutral one. And that's all you have to know about the articles, as of now. I think that's enough German for today. There have been quite a few new words. Make sure you practice and revise this lesson as much as you can and as thoroughly as you can. You need to be absolutely perfect with this lesson before you start with the next. Also, whenever you feel ready, attempt the test linked in the description of this video. All the best, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Have a nice day. See you in the next class. Tschüss.